Yeah, should have did that last time.
Man. Well, now we know. The more you know. All right, damn. I feel like I keep losing my.
I was
time.
talking about, when people tell you Impound is their favorite character of all time. That's an unanticipated thing that somebody says to you. So when you hear it, it's just reassuring. Makes you want to do more. Makes you want to. It just is reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
Lets you know you do have something dope. People appreciate it because it's always good to believe in yourself, but when other people believe in you, it's
affirming.
Yeah,
you
you have to have that.
It's affirming, and I think it's kind of like what you were even alluding to earlier. It's kind of like, well, you could think you have the dopest thing in the world, but if your fans are telling you like, "Hey, we don't want it," and you keep trying to push it on them, then what are you doing for real?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you've collected a lot of impact, a lot of fans, a lot of support, and all that fun stuff. I want to talk a little bit more about kind of like the business stuff, because that's the portion where people are oftentimes lost. There's the creative aspect of business, and then there's the actual like business, which one could argue does have a degree of creativity in it.
Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, what are the sectors and things that really kind of sustain the Impound universe? How is it sustained?
You just have to be present. Content is heavy in today's world. It's mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure we're posting on everything every single day is the priority of every single day, regardless. As far as the writing part, like I said earlier, I've done most of the writing, or enough writing that the illustrators haven't caught up. So I'm not really worried about that part anymore. You know what I mean? To an extent where I could just casually write and create things freely over time with no pressure, because I spent 2 years writing before I ever dropped a book. So it's just about the marketing. Marketing is essential. That's the most important thing. It doesn't matter how good the book is if nobody reads it. Yeah. And then when they read it and they tell you it's good, now it's like, okay, keep marketing tougher. Like I think on our TikTok shop, man, we've sold, thousands of books now, and we're at like a 4.9 out of 5, like 99% great reviews.
Let's go.
And that's when you focus on that kind of part of it, and then the other part is you have to get creative. I'm selling comic books. I know going into that's not going to be the most sustainable thing through every season.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to drop books every day, every month. And doing things like our events, doing things like Comic Verse, doing things like adrenaline parties, doing things that still push the brand forward without directly being the next character development or character arc.
Yeah.
So you got to think outside of the box. And thankfully, I was equipped with other things to do that. You can make a lot of money on social media, so you're getting paid to promote your stuff.
Yeah.
But it's creativity, because there's no proof of concept that I can follow, because there's not a lot of people doing this, and the people who did blow up in the space did it so long ago that doesn't apply to today's world.
Yep.
So yeah, you have to be creative.
Whereas like, the newspaper ads and magazine ads, that might have been a thing like back in the day, but that's not really the same kind of like marketing plan and scheme we would use right now.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work.
Now you got the social media ads, but even with that, you still have to figure that out, because there's people who think you just run ads on stuff and now you're popping, and it's like, nah, you still have to make the right content. I wouldn't even run an ad on something that doesn't do well on its own.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it is, if I post something, no matter how great I is, if it doesn't do well, I'm not running ads on that. When I post something random and it blows up, that's what you run ads on. So even if it's not what you planned, that's what you run your ads on now.
Just because it's like more organic? Or?
You need that. You need people to, I learned that from the music industry. It doesn't matter how great the music is, there has to be something in a person's character that attracts people naturally.
Yeah.
That's a part of it, and then more often that might overwhelm someone who's better, who's more talented, but there's a certain level of engagement. That word truly matters. That depends on what you're going to focus on.
Okay, that was
my
fault. Cool.
Yeah,
we don't edit all this out.
That was my fault.
But that makes sense though, bro, because like you got to be, and it works for you because you're already like personable and likable. A lot of folks that are in kind of like the geekery culture, tend to be a little more like introverted, a little more reserved and all that. So that's for sure kind of like an advantage that you have. So it makes people attracted to the things that you want to do. It makes them want to come to it. And the synergy in which you kind of like created all your events, you've not only created kind of like multiple streams of income under one umbrella, but you've created multiple streams of like marketing.
Yeah.
Because they're all kind of like complementary to each other. But
exactly. I'm not going to do it if I won't do anything that isn't still promoting the brand overall. So that's the goal is, you need a new stream of income, but you also just need to still promote. We have the impound wall at all our events. All these people post pictures of it. Just gives it that extra. You never know who's seeing what other people are showing.
Yep.
So getting as many people involved is the best way to do it.
And you have them for like all age ranges too. Impound isn't something that's just for the adults, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, or the babies. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of kind of like events and experiences for a lot of different kind of like generations. And I know that we have something in collaboration too, with the whole Free Play Fridays, with Sac Geeks involved as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
About the Free Play Fridays?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like you're saying, that's just another aspect that, for one, feels good that you're helping the community grow. Like it really does. It really brings in those new people. But it gives people a safe space to also interact with people that are like them.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say, I'm gonna go back to adrenaline on this, and then I'll come back. One thing I noticed about adrenaline, because it is a lot of introverted people. When I used to throw parties in the hip hop space, when you sell tickets, you'll see 2 tickets, 3 tickets, 4 tickets be purchased at one time. When I do adrenaline, I see 1 ticket, 1 ticket, 1 ticket, 1 ticket. I realized people are coming here by themselves to be around people like them, and they're leaving with a friend group or starting a new relationship with people. I've noticed that. And that was a thing that I didn't anticipate when we were doing it, but I see it. Because it was kind of annoying to see, like, bro, why keep buying 1 ticket? Oh, who buys 1? And I was like, I understand it. I understand why that's happening. And you're seeing people come in with 1 by themselves in cosplay, meeting someone else in cosplay, and the next one, they're coming together. And that's dope. And like there's a lot of discovery in what we're doing. And I would imagine, especially with Free Play Fridays, there's kids who are gonna meet younger. They're gamers. They're gonna connect with each other on their PlayStations and Xbox later, and have a gamer group. And you know what I mean? It's powerful that way. And especially with the youth, they'll love you forever. I'll still argue with somebody over Ninja Turtles and
man, for real.
Yeah, don't disrespect Blastoise and Pokemon. I don't play that. So that's also a part of it too. Is letting them know young this is dope, and seeing people like themselves in an older generation show it to them to appreciate it more. So that's what Free Play Friday offers to the younger generation. And on top of Impound Comics, we're in the gaming space too, so it's full circle.
Yeah. Bro, I feel like those communities are all kind of like tethered together, whether you're like, into the fantasy stuff, the superhero stuff, the video games, anime, techie stuff. I feel like they're all kind of like wrapped into one community.
Yeah, half of them like all of it, at least. So if there's a total of 20 people, 10 of those people like every part of it.
Every part of it.
Yeah, and so it just makes sense, Like there are people who just like anime, and there are people who just like comics, but there's, like I said, there's a good amount of people who just want to appreciate fiction in general, no matter how it comes.
And I got one more question for you. So you're blowing everything up. Everything is doing extremely well right now. But what's kind of like 2 things? Where are you ultimately trying to take it, and what's the next step into kind of like getting to that place you want to arrive at to meet in that goal?
The next step, the next step is always more books. So that's always a step that will never go away, because people want to keep following these stories. Then after that, the next step is now getting more in the cinematic space to a degree.
Yeah.
So we're working on more animated projects in general, even if it's lower budget, smaller, getting the watchers more involved, and getting in the gaming space. So, I try to do things in the most realistic and affordable way because that we always have to consider that.
Of course.
But that is the next step is cinematics. You know, and we're working on that right now. You know, we have an animated, we have some animation on our YouTube already, but we have an animated film in the works. Just trying to do a 1 hour. It's going to be our first animated full project, but it won't be the last.
Let's go.
You know, so that's what we're doing.
Is it like a film? Is it
animated
a
movie
series? Okay.
And just one animated film, 1 hour film.
Beautiful, beautiful. When we got a date of when it's dropping?
I have no idea.
It's
yeah. I mean, I've been posting small details. So like, if you're a fan of Naruto, the voice of Killer B is the voice of our villain. Ooh. I formed like a real good relationship with him just through our convention, through the time. And then Brooklyn Barbie, who is the African-American Barbie on the animated series, she's the voice of Lady Monarch.
Let's go.
And then I got a few other people who are just up-and-coming voice actors. Some are just where I found them on TikTok. They do reenactments and things like that. But it's an animated film, and I did it like our super team. So it's not directly out of the comics. It's kind of in the future.
Yeah.
It's where the comic would go eventually, but I kind of skipped forward for this. I wanted to make it as big as we could. You know what I mean? So that's what that's going to be. And again, it's the first, but it won't be the last. You know, getting that going.
Let's go.
I think it's a part of my branding is always showing self-efficiency, where I don't need a studio to get me an animated film. I'll get it done. And then with that being done, I now have more leverage when I approach you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need this and that. You just hand me some money, and this is what we'll do even bigger the next time. And so that's always been a part of what I would like to show as self-efficiency. Same with like our convention. You know, I can do a bigger convention. I need a bigger budget, but you see already the proof of concept.
You already got the proof of concept.
I already did the trial and error. We already did the hard parts. You don't have to worry about the risk factor as much with me. Just focus more on the results we can get to. And that's also been a part of my business model. Is I don't like waiting for someone to help me. I'm gonna just do it.
Yep.
You know, and that's what we're on.
And it's been working out.
Yeah. Once this film is done, I expect we'll have a way more interest from major studios. And that's the goal.
Bro, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I got a couple more. Okay. And we'll edit all this other.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to at this point. I mean, it's easy. The main thing is it stood still, so the cuts you won't even see them.
Bro, what do you? Cause you do your podcast, right? Do you do you use Opus?
Opus?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't even know what that is for. Opus is for streaming.
Nah, dog. That's It's the I think we talked about it. It's the AI video kind of like cutting software.
Oh yeah, no, I still just cut because I structure mine in a way that I know what's the clip part.
Yeah, you know.
And I want to go get that for social media.
Yeah.
So I've done that before, but it doesn't do it right for me. So it irritates me.
Right, and that's what I've been kind of like. No, so
it's not there yet.
I'm not an editor.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a tool to where it's like, okay, fuck, this is useful as well.
It's good for cutbacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're doing close-ups on talking, like it knows when someone's talking, and that's cool. But I specifically do my podcast in a way to be clippable.
Yeah.
So we'll do a whole thing, and then I'll say, can you name 10 characters that know this?
I seen that.
I know that's the clip part.
I seen that.
We're speaking on this for social media, and it'll cut in the middle of that, and it pisses me off. So yeah, it's not as productive as for me yet. But I've tapped with it.
Bro, I might borrow that strategy from you because honestly, bro, like
when it comes
I'm
to
trash to social media and your socials be going crazy.
You have to do
you just made the wrestling thing and it's already doing.
Bro, it's almost
right
at 10K followers. I truly understand social media, but it's like when you podcast, you do want to. Interviews are great, but most of them are not clippable. Most of the things you talk about, because it's like, unless it's a person that they see and they're like, oh, I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
But when it's just like interviewing and you're introducing, it's hard for that to be engaging. Because you'll be like, how'd you start your business? And people will scroll and be like, I don't know who the fuck they are. I don't give a damn about their business. and you want it to be more like you want to say things in a way that, I don't want to say it's controversial, but a little bit, you know, what makes a business fail?
Yeah.
And then they'll tell you, and then people who are in that will be like, oh shit, I need to know that. It is depending on not the subject, how you say it. And we're conscious of that. So when you start with can you name or what does this, like the first word, that is the most important part of that for social media.
I can see that. See, bro, two things. Because I mean, even with the whole social media, like, and I don't even know if you're doing this consciously and on purpose, but everything that you do is kind of like inviting more people to be a part of the universe or to be a part of the brand. Like even name your top 10. Like I was scrolling through and it's like, well, damn, let me see if I can name some people. So let me
for sure.
see if I can play now a little bit.
That's why I said engagement. And the main thing is once you figure out your sauce, you got to keep doing that sauce in a different way. You know, don't overthink it. Once the world shows you this is what works, use that, throw that punch until it doesn't land.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I was just like, and I just mix it in. But I figure, you know, if it gets 100,000 views, you know, 5,000 of these people are gonna check out my comics too, though. They may be here for another reason. And then I also had to look at it, bro, like, you know, for a long time with Impound, and this could just be a part of the interview. A long part for Impound, I didn't want to say anything about any other comic space company but my own. You know, I wanted to see that you're here for this, which was a great way to start. But then over time, it's hard to keep just building on that, or you build slower, which sometimes that slow burn is the better way. But McDonald's would never talk about Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box will always say our breakfast is better than McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
They be talking shit.
On God. Burger King will tell you that this burger is better than the Big Mac.
Yeah.
And so with that formula, if mainstream companies, if you're the number one spot, you don't have to talk about the 2 and 3 and 4. But if you're anything under that, you better talk about what you're trying to get to.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and the industry shows us. Geico doesn't talk about nobody. Everybody else says their insurance is better than Geico. You know what I mean? And then I really was thinking about Apple. Apple is the leader. Apple doesn't talk about anyone. But in the early 2000s, Apple was talking crazy about Windows. Before they came out with the iPod and the iPhone, when they were trying to come back, they had an Apple guy and they had the Windows guy. They used to dress the Apple guy up swaggy and make him look cool. And they used to make the Windows dude look like he just came and formed sentences. And they're like, this is why Apple's better than Windows. You don't remember that?
Nah.
You ever seen the movie Road Trip? The main character from Road Trip was the Apple guy.
Was that the one where they went to like the Amish place and all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The main character from Road Trip was Apple guy for like 3 years.
For real?
Yeah. If you go look up Apple guy commercials, and he would just be standing there and he wear his t-shirt and he was swaggy, had his hair down, and he'd be like, Apple's the coolest thing in the world. And he'd be like, do you want to be this or do you want to be that? And they just have somebody looking shady on Windows.
This was what, like the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember, bruh. Like,
and he'll just sit there. Look, y'all can't see him, and he'll sit here and dog him out.
I remember this now. He
would dog Windows guy out. Windows guy be dropping all stuff, be looking crazy.
I ain't seen this in hell long.
Because Apple don't got to do that no more because they're now the number one spot. So now I'm not going to, when you're the number one spot, you're arming up your competition when you talk about them. Yeah. When you're not, you're putting yourself aligned with your competitor. And I realized that too. So that's when I started saying, oh, who can Impound beat this character? Can what this? That's when all that started coming and I realized it works. And then once you build that fan base, they'll argue for you. I can say Impound to beat a character, and there's going to be half of the people going to say he cannot beat this character, and you'll see the comments coming in like, yes, he can. And then that's when it really starts blowing up. And then ultimately, we're only talking about fiction. It's not like we're talking about something that's harmful to somebody. Yeah, my character can beat this character. It's fake. Who cares?
Friendly competition.
If that's going to make you that upset, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah. So
and honestly, if you're getting people to like feel something, it's like, okay, then you know your shit is well written. Like that's how you know. Like when it has kind of even when people are like, I hate this character. Yeah, it's like, well, at least you feel something.
You feel something.
You know, at least you feel something.
And I also realize.
I'm listening. I'm just okay.
And I also realize there's characters that I hate, but that doesn't mean I hate the company.
Yeah.
There's characters in Marvel and DC that I can't stand. But that has nothing to do with the other characters that I do like. And I've also seen people in the comments say, bro, I cannot stand Impound. but Blasted is my favorite character.
I'm not gonna lie, dog.
And
Blasted is my favorite. I'm like,
and people, and at first I'd be like, dang, why they hating? But they're not really this character that just doesn't relate to them. But they still love Impound Comics. They just don't love this specific character,
and that's okay.
And that's completely. Yeah, I feel the same way. I cannot stand Johnny Cage. I hate Johnny Cage. He's the dumbest looking. He just irritates me. Everything about him irritates me. But if you talk bad about Sub-Zero, we are gonna have a problem. So it's like I don't have a distaste to Mortal Kombat. It's just this one.
You just don't like this character.
Exactly. And so I had to realize that too. You know, so that's a part of it. That's a part of it. You know, and the last person who showed me that was Robert Kirkman, who made Invincible and Walking Dead. I realized right before the new season of Invincible comes out, he always goes, "Did you guys know Omni-Man can beat up Superman?" And TikTok goes crazy, like, Omni-Man cannot. And all these creators, I was like, he does that on purpose.
That's clever.
Yeah.
That's clever.
He comes in strong with this debatable thing. It makes a lot of people mad. It makes some people, like, not mad. But it boosts the ratings of the first episode.
That makes it. Well, you're sparking the discussion and all that. Because, I mean, that's kind of like a conversation. It's kind of like
Kanye and 50 Cent.
I was going to say an evergreen low-key, you know, because people are always going to engage in that conversation. I know, like, in particular, I always hear, like, oh, yeah, can Superman beat Goku?
Yeah.
And then the conversation goes
up.
Crazy.
It goes up.
You know?
Every single time.
Every single time. But I mean,
and you got to look at it like just the fact that your character's even in that conversation is an accomplishment on its own. That people hold your character to that standard.
Yeah, in such high regard and all that. Well, you've been doing it with Impound. I got a couple more questions here. A couple more. Actually, I think I might have just like one more. And let me know if there's anything in particular you want to hit on too. But how can people that love Impound and all the things that you're building, you know, how can they get involved with this, you know?
You know, I always tell people purchasing stuff is great, but getting involved just by boosting our engagement. I tell people that all the time when I'm on live and stuff. People be like, I can't afford to get them right now. I'm like, bro, just leave a comment, share, and if you can't hit that repost button, because you never know who else will see it just from other engagement. So that's always what I promote. But of course, you know, you can find the whole thing on our website, impoundcomics.com. And that's the easiest way to get everything. You know, our videos, our books, you know, we have engaging things. I just added a bunch of new information to our website because now we're at a point where we're trying to fine tune the little things. So we added like, you know, more longer character bios, their height, their weight. You know, we added what builds the universe. Well, I even just added like a structure, like who's God of Impound Comics and what did he create from him all the way down to just people. I added all that information recently, so we're in that part of trying to keep people who do want to read more.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of ways to just be present. You know,
just be present, show support, share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
You never know.
My guy, I think that might be my last question, unless there's anything else that you wanted to touch on, just so we get it.
I think I touched in what I wanted to within those questions. Nothing outside of that.
Then I appreciate you, brother. I think that wraps up our questions.
Appreciate you more, man.
Got to do more of this.
Yeah.
This was fun though, man. It's I'm gonna turn this off.